For today's spiritual magical book, I want to turn to one that was very important for me and one of the foundations for Western culture and Western society. I'm talking about the Hermetica. And I would recommend this Cambridge Press edition translated by Brian P. Copenhaver because I think it's really well done. So this book was so important because it was rediscovered and dug out of an archive around the beginning of the Italian Renaissance and got translated and put back into the Western consciousness after having been lost for such a long time. And at the time, and for the entire Renaissance, they believed that this book was older than Moses and written by this mysterious, magical Egyptian figure named Hermes Trismegistus. And this book is most famous for the aphorism, as above, so below. And that's what explains all of it. It's that simple, that what happens at the cosmic level with the planets and the galaxies gets replicated at the level of the ecology of the planet, gets replicated at the ecosystem level, within each organism, at the cellular level, and at the quantum level. And that just turns out to be true. The more I study science and write about it, the more the patterns replicate on all those different levels. And as above, so below. And if you want to know how the universe works, you can also look inside and find it all replicated there. So this book became foundational not only for magic and for self-discovery, but also for the beginnings of science and how to pay attention to the universe and learn from that. What they didn't know throughout the course of the Renaissance was something that Francis Yates later wrote about really well, the great academic historian of magic and scientific thinking, is that this book, once they applied the science of philology to it and looking at where the words come from and things like that, it's not that old. This was probably put together by first century Greeks. So it was much, much younger than people thought it was. But that doesn't take away from it. It is still an incredible book, and it's not that long. This is mostly commentary and stuff like that. But the actual meat of the book isn't that long, but it's very depthful. And so I try to go through it at least every year or so and just look over my notes and do some bibliomancy to look at it again, because it's so foundational to who I am, as well as foundational to the entire Western intellectual tradition. So I would recommend the Hermetica to anyone who wants to learn more about where scientific thinking came from and where religious magical thinking came from.